Built in 1964, Meister Hall is an educational facility designed by Marcel Breuer located on the campus of Bronx Community College. Originally called Tech 2, the facility houses computer and science laboratories along with administration. On average, in New York City, there are 169 days of rainfall, with 37 inches of precipitation accumulated. The flat and planar nature of the building leads to puddling on the roof and occasional leaking into the interior, both from rainfall and from melting snow. Multiple students and faculty members on campus have been on record filing complaints about the constant leaking on the upper floors. There doesn't appear to be any sort of slant in the roof, or any way of guiding water to a storm drain, or even at the very least off of the building, leaving puddles to collect until eventually overflowing and leading to leaks. Another hazard of the building's construction are the small pockets where water can collect and potentially weaken the facade, particularly around the angular truncated stilts holding the precedent building aloft. The issues that come from the rain are mirrored when it snows. New York City only averages about 25 inches of snow a year, which isn't too much, and Meister Hall is sturdy to say the least, and layers of snow won't jeopardize the integrity of the building. But as previously mentioned, once that snow melts, the water really has nowhere to go, except for evaporation or potentially leaking into the building's interior. For about 6 months out of the year, from October to April, winds are at their most powerful, with an average speed of 8.3 miles an hour. In New York, winds tend to blow from east to west, leaving the inside windows of the northern-facing facades largely untouched. The ground level as well remains protected behind the core structure of the building, despite its exposure to the elements. The open ground level also provides adequate protection for those wanting to avoid the rain, snow, or even the sun on a bright day. The summer solstice is on June 21st, and it is the most sunlight out of every day in the year, with the sun rising to 64.44 degrees above the horizon at its peak. At 8 a.m., shadows are quite long, flooding the south side of the surrounding area but leaving the site evenly lit. At 12 p.m., shorter shadows are casted as the sun is at its highest. The precedent building is mainly enlightened, and the site remains largely untouched. Before the sun sets, at 4 p.m., shadows get longer, flooding the area and covering the majority of the site. December 21st is the winter solstice, meaning it is the shortest day of the year, during which the sun does not rise more than 16.56 degrees above the horizon. At 8 a.m., during the sunrise, shadows are extremely long, with the sun being at its lowest point. Roughly half the site remains illuminated. At 12 p.m., shadows remain long and cover the site. Parts of the building remain shaded. As the sun begins to set at 4 p.m., shadows get extremely long once again, casting most of the surrounding area in shadow. March 21st, also known as the spring equinox, is when both the night and the day are the closest to being equal. At 8 a.m., right after the sun has risen, the sun casts moderately long shadows while leaving the site untouched. At 12 p.m., the shadows get shorter, however more of the site is now being covered by shade. And as the sun lowers at 4 p.m., the shadows get longer, and at this time, most of the site is bathed in shadow.